What's going on YouTube? It's Calcoscope, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own NFL jersey swaps. Alright, so we're going to get right to it. The first thing that you're going to want to do is name your layer. So I'm just going to name it background. Okay, so naming it background, then the next layer is going to be your player mask layer. So I'm just going to name this Lamar. Alright, so that is going to be named Lamar. And now to mask Lamar out, my guy right here, we're going to use the pen tool. Okay, so shortcut P. And use the pen tool. That's one way, right? So we can use shortcut P, use the pen tool, and make sure it's on path, not shape. If it's on shape, it's going to make a shape, so put it on path, shortcut P. And with the pen tool, you can actually click to the second point, and then if you hold down while you click to the second point, you can actually drag this in a different area. And the thing to be careful of, or just make sure you notice, is the point that my cursor is on right now, because this shows you the direction of where your pen is going to go, and it's just going to guide you. So holding it down, and then you curve it, and you would go like that around the whole base of the subject. But in this case, I think that we have a really nice subject with a really nice blurred background, so I'm going to try and use a function in Photoshop. If you guys have Photoshop 2020 or above, I believe it should be on there. So you go to select and you press subject. Alright, and now what select subject does is it literally just selects the subject, and then obviously it's Photoshop, so it's not gonna do it completely accurately, so you need to go over with your lasso tool and just make the changes that need to be done here. You can just drag along with your lasso tool, the normal one. I'm not using any of the fancy ones right here. I'm just using the normal lasso tool and making selections. And then if you hold down Alt or Command on the Mac, you can subtract selections. But for most of this part, we won't have to do this, but I'm just gonna make little selections. Like right here, I'm gonna hold down Alt or Command on the Mac and get rid of this selection, and I'm just gonna do that and get my mask nice and cool and neat, and then I'll be back. Alright, so now I have my super sick little mask of Lamar Jackson, and you guys can press Q on your keyboard to like preview it even before you do the layer mask. But all you have to do when you're done with that is hit the layer mask button. It's on the bottom, and it says add layer mask if you go over it. So since it says add layer mask right there, I don't think it should be confusing for you guys. So click on that right there, and that's gonna make a layer mask. Now if you were to hide this background layer that we made, you would see how perfect and 100% accurate this layer mask is. So sick. So we can go ahead and actually just apply this layer mask, because I'm just pretty confident in it. So there we go with the layer mask. What I like to do is not have my background showing when I'm doing the jersey swap. I don't know, you guys can do it or not, but I usually go to this and I go to the bottom and I add a layer above, and then I put on like a very dark gray layer, and then I'll just like drop the fill so I can see a little bit of the background, but mostly no, I'm not seeing the background. And then the next thing that I'm gonna want to do is make a duplicate copy of this. So this is going to be Lamar on the top. Control J is how to make a duplicate copy. So this is Lamar on the top. This is Lamar's copy. Okay, so I'm gonna make this red because I'm probably not gonna use it, but it's for backup because I have to keep backup for all of my mistakes that I do in Photoshop. And don't be afraid of making a mistake. I swear, if you're afraid of making a mistake, you're not gonna progress. All right, but I have this Lamar right here. I'm gonna hide the underneath one, and all we have to do now is get rid of this 8 and all of these excess things. So what I'm gonna do to do that is I'm gonna either use lasso tool or the pen tool. If you want to use the pen tool, you can just go all around like this and be careful where you're getting stuff crossed out, because we're gonna use content aware fill after we get everything all selected. So you see right now, I right click, I go to make selection and go to new selection, feather, no feather, anti-aliased or whatever that says, put that on, and also have combined shapes on. If not, it's gonna make an inverse selection, and that's just not fun. So just go around and do this on pretty much everything that you don't want to be on there. This NFL logo, we're just gonna get rid of it for right now. I'm probably gonna actually just bring this one back when we get the Pats jersey on, because we're swapping him to a Patriots uniform. No hate comments, please. I just want to put him in a Patriots uniform. I don't need the hate. All right, guys. So I'm just gonna finish doing that, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to content aware fill once I'm done. All right, so this is like everything selected that I don't want to be on there. Again, I'm pressing Q just to see my little selection. And then what you're gonna do is go to Shift, hold down Shift and F5 at the same time. And then we're gonna go to Content Aware. None of this stuff. We go to Content Aware. Color adaptation on, mode normal, opacity 100. Cool. Boom. Click it. And there we go. We have very nice content aware fill. And we're just really excited about it now. So what you have to do to just like make this look better is just press S to get your clone stamp tool, and then hold down Alt or Command on the Mac, and then click a point like that's near where you mask stuff out, and you're kind of just gonna have to do your best job to make this just blend in and not look like you just started on Photoshop, even though, you know, most of my edits look like that. But that's what you're gonna have to do. So just go through and try to content aware fill and just clean everything up before we move on to the next step. So I'm gonna let you guys do that, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. All right, so get ready, set, go. All right, that was like super fast. I don't even know how I managed to do that so fast, but yeah, I don't know, man. But now what we have right here is we have our clean little thing that we made, but now we're gonna make displacement maps. And what displacement maps are gonna do is when you add a texture onto here, it's gonna make it so it looks smoother with a displacement map on it. It looks more realistic. So we're gonna do two versions of the displacement map, because oftentimes the first one doesn't work and then you have to try and use a different variation. It's kind of gets confusing. Like, they make displacement maps sound like they're so easy to use, but they kind of do get confusing. So I'm gonna show you guys. So all you have to do for the first version, we're gonna go to File, Save As, and I'm gonna save it on my computer. And it's just gonna be Lamar Displacement 1. Okay, when you save a displacement map, just save it as a Photoshop PSD or else. So save it as a Photoshop PSD, okay? And then we're gonna press Control, Shift, Alt, and E to make a layer that is visible, or a layer from everything visible. And then I'm gonna right click and make it a smart object, okay? If you don't have the right click smart object, if you don't have a shortcut for that, you should make a shortcut. You can make shortcuts when you go to Windows, Workspace, Keyboard shortcuts, and then you can make your own shortcuts in there. But yeah, you should start making shortcuts in Photoshop. Pro tip to give you guys, okay? So once you have that, you're gonna go on your adjustments, and you're gonna have a channel mixer, and you're gonna hold down Alt or Command right on like the bottom of the adjustment, and then click it to clip it, or you can right click and create a clipping mask. I do not care, do either. And then you're gonna press monochrome, and what monochrome is gonna do is gonna turn it to like black and white, okay? And then you're just gonna use a little bit of curves as well, and then clip that. And this is just gonna give you a little bit of variance for your details, so that Photoshop doesn't have a complete panic attack when you're trying to do a displacement map. So then we're gonna fill this image now. So we're gonna go to Filter, Blur. This is the only time we're using Gaussian blur, all right? So don't be thinking like Gaussian blur is just the great thing to use. No, we're using it as an asset. So now we're gonna save this again. So file, save as, save on your computer. This is gonna be the second one. And then when we use this, we'll see which one works better, okay? So we're gonna go okay. Now I'm gonna click on the top adjustment, the curves, hold down Shift, click to the bottom, and put it in a group. And this is gonna be called Displace. All right, put it to the bottom because we're not using it. Okay, right now. So now what you have is Lamar Jackson, and he has a bear jersey. Like, not Bears, the Chicago Bears, a bear jersey with nothing on it really, besides this. We're just gonna keep that. But now just mask out the jersey the same way we use the pen tool, and just mask out the jersey real quick so that we can change the color. And I'm gonna bring in the reference colors from Patriots jerseys, but for right now, just mask out the jersey that you're using. And if you were to use a full body pick, it would be the same thing. You just mask out the full jersey with the pants. So don't be like, oh, can you do a full body one? It's like, it's the same thing. So just take it easy, man. All right, so just mask out the jersey, and then we'll be back. All right, so I have the jersey. I don't know, I gotta check the placement. Once I check the placement, I'll be back. All right, so the way I'm checking placement is I took another picture of Cam over here pointing to his mom because he did a good job. So here's a placement. So I'm thinking that the 8's just a little bigger. I don't know if it's actually like shrunken a little bit like that, but like once you have a pretty good placement, like you'll be like, okay, that's good, but let's try and add our displacement map on there. So go to filter, distort, and go to displace. Now start off with like a lower quantity, so I'll go 5 by 5, and all you have to do is pick your displacement map. Now I'm gonna choose the channel mixer one that was black and white. I feel like that's gonna work better. So yeah, okay, see, that's before displacement, that's after. So it just reads the data underneath, which is very helpful. It'll be very helpful, and I think we can go a little bit more, so I'm gonna increase it. The good thing about displacement maps is making a smart object so that you can go and edit it when you're done. Okay, so just go back and just get that jersey looking super clean and spiffy before you move on to the next step. All right, so I'm like satisfied with that, but I'm just gonna move it over a little bit like this, and that was the warp tool. So just do that and make sure it looks nice and neat, and then after that I'm gonna go and pretty much do the Alright, intermission. Underneath where we have the Lamar NFL logo, just literally all you have to do is just take this from him, because it's like the same thing. Like if you look at the Patriots jersey, it's not much different. They have like this part, so I mean you could take this part, but for right now I'm just gonna put the NFL logo, and then I probably will take that part from Cam Newton. But the NFL logo, it looks pretty straight to me, so just mask the NFL logo out real quick like this with your pen tool. Just be careful. Right click, make a selection, new selection. I'm just gonna press Ctrl J because I think that was a good selection. So we press Ctrl J. Now we have our NFL logo collar. All right, still name all your layers, make sure you're doing that, and then press Ctrl T, transform it over to here, and you don't even have to like distort or anything because it's literally the same one. All right, and then we just want to get this little detail underneath. So on this cam layer, I'm gonna duplicate this copy, and I'm just gonna try and content aware fill. So I'm using my lasso tool to get that out like that. Press Shift F5. What? Oh, we're on the wrong game. Shift. All right, so I did a okay job of just like content aware filling this. So just press Ctrl C, and then we're gonna go back onto this layer and press Ctrl V to put it underneath. Okay, so put it underneath like this. Name it like underneath triangle. Okay, so my layer naming is like excruciatingly painful to look at because I don't even know what I'm saying half the time, but that is fine. So what you're gonna do is just warp it. All right, so something like that, and put it right there. Okay, so now you can just go in with your little brush on your layer mask, make a layer mask. The icon is the rectangle with the circle in the middle, and I'm just gonna, well, wrong thing we put a layer mask on, and then just brush it out, some of it. All right, so just make it look clean, and then to make it look even cleaner, we're gonna add curves to it. So go to curves, create a clipping mask, bring that darkness down to like there. That's good. And then we're gonna add another curves layer, another one. Oh my god, yeah, add another one, clip it, bring it down, but this time we're gonna invert the mask. So go on your layer mask, the white box right here, and press Ctrl I, and now put your flow on your brush to like hardness to 0, and then drop your flow down as well, and then we're gonna paint white on, and this is just for the shadow. Okay, so paint a little shadow so it looks so sick and like a shadow. Okay, so that is right there. Now we're gonna take these we're gonna take these things right here, these stripes, I don't know what to call them. So we're gonna take these stripes and make a mask of these stripes. All right, so there we go. Use the pen tool again. Take the stripes like this and like that. All right, use your pen tool wisely. All right, so boom, right click, make the selection, new selection, boom, make a layer mask, Control C and Control V. Oh, what the hell? Yo, it inverted the mask. This keeps happening. Oh yeah, make sure your thing is on combined shapes. All right, so now press Control C, and now it should paste the right way. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so now once you have this in here, just make it into a smart object because that's a pretty good mask. I like it. All right, and then make the smart object, and we have to put it on his shoulders. So it's kind of difficult because of the. So I'm going on and I'm gonna put like a curves on it. Whoops, clip a curves adjustment to it, and just working it through. You just gotta try a lot of different things when you're doing swaps, and eventually, if you just keep at it, it'll start to just come together. All right, so we gotta do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm not gonna make a new layer. I'll just have this one already. So I'm just gonna copy this again. And I'm also gonna name this, so this is the left side stripe. All right, so then we're gonna need the right side stripe. So just make this into a smart object like this, okay? And now we have to stretch this. And the only thing about stretching is like it's gonna. All right, on this one, I'm gonna also use displacement. So I'm gonna go filter, distort, displace, and use my displacement map. Now that actually helped it a good amount, but you see on the jersey, it's like really weird just cause they hit the jersey. So just bring your fill down and then make a layer mask. And with your layer mask, just delete or erase, whatever you wanna call it in your little heart. Erase with the black brush, whatever got on the helmet. All right, and once you feel good about it, give yourself a high five and we can move on to the next step. Now at this point, it's like, this is kind of messed. I don't know, like if I like that or not. I don't know if I'd want to fix that or not. Like if you wanted to fix it, you could just right click and rasterize it, apply the layer mask, and then you could just like do less of a divot, so it's just like that. And then just use content aware fill like we did before. Hold down Alt or Command on the Mac and fill it in. I don't know, I think that looks better than before. But also what I want to do is add the shade that's underneath. See the shade? You can actually bring the shade out. So I'm going to show you guys how. So what you're going to do is go right click, go to blending options, and then go to underlying layer and do this. Hold down Alt or Command on the Mac, click this point from the shades and use this slider. Okay? Just like that. That is one way you could do it, but that's kind of like the cheap way. Okay, so if you want to do it like the official way, you just make the slider a little bit more. All right, then we're gonna add a exposure layer, clip it to that, and then bring the exposure down. All right, once we bring the exposure down, type -8.33. We're gonna invert the mask. And now with this mask, I'm just gonna follow this blending option. So I'm gonna bring my flow down, and I'm also gonna bring my hardness down. And now I'm gonna just paint these shades. Okay, so just paint some little shades in. And this might look weird at first, but it does work. So I'll show you guys why it works too. Okay, so like that. So then now we can just bring our blending option back to like normal. And now you have like your own little exposure bumps or whatever you want to call them. So you use your blur tool right here. Make sure you're on the layer mask of the exposure, and use your blur tool and just blur those exposures out. All right, so just blur them out. You might even want to use your black brush to soften up some of the shades, but that's completely up to you, okay? So up to you guys. But that just gives it a little bit of depth, or whatever you'd like to call it. And then if you do want, you can bring back and have some of the underlying layer, but like I said, it's up to you. Okay, I think I might leave just a little bit of it like that, and then maybe at the end I'll paint some back, right? So that looks cool to me. And then you could do the same thing on this one too. So I'm not gonna sit here and do the same thing, like, because it does take a little bit of time, but I'm just showing you guys like that, okay? And that's just gonna add some texture to it. Now let's see, now let's do the helmet. All right, so for choosing your helmets, it's often good to just choose images that have similar angles. Like see the angles. All right, so it's similar angles on the composition. So what you're gonna want to do is just take your pen tool and do the same thing. We're just gonna mask out the helmet this time though. And right here, I'm thinking about maybe taking the whole thing, but I don't know, because it's gonna be tough either way, because helmets are kind of just tricky. But right now I'm just gonna mask out the entire helmet, so I'm not gonna let you guys watch that whole thing. I'll speed through it and then I'm gonna be done with it. So boom, let's get to it. All right, so look at me. I have a little mask of my helmet, almost, pretty much, and just gotta get rid of this part, and then we can just hit our layer mask button on the underneath layer. Boom, have our layer, our mask masked out, our helmet masked out. I wish I could talk. So just press Control C once again. We're going to paste it on here. So I set OK for my liquify, and what I'm noticing about the face mask is, you guys can probably tell, it's so like much wider. So I'm gonna just have to do a manual face mask, which is low-key unfortunate, but it's okay. So I'm just gonna cut off the bottom half of this. So I'm just going to yeet that out of here. Okay, so now I have the top, and the top actually looks really clean and nice, but the bottom part is a no-go. So all we have to do now is, well, it takes a while, but we're just gonna make a mask of the around. Okay, so once you have your mask of your face, mask, now we can just do that little layer mask thingy again. And then I'm just gonna go to channel mixer, clip a channel mixer on, set it to monochrome. All right, let me make sure my layer mask was right. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so set it to monochrome, and what we're gonna do is just make it to a nice gray, like that, somewhere along these lines. It's fine, I don't know, that's fine right there. And then we're just gonna use a gradient map again. So with the gradient map, just put it down, boom, gradient map, and this is darks to light once again. So you can actually use this as reference, the top part of your mask. So on your gradient map, we're gonna go from the darkest red that we see here, boom, okay, to the middle red, just lighter, and then to the lightest red. All right, so now we have those three, and this looks pretty good, but not too good. It looks good, but not too good. So you can play around on these a little bit, not too much, but you can play around a little bit on these. Just try to bring out some of the color, and it's a lot of work, but eventually if you stick at it, you'll get it. So I'm gonna leave it like that for now, but then I'm gonna add a levels on top and just try to get this to blend in a little bit more. So even if I want to blend it in, I might even go as far as to go on the layer mask that I have and go to the underlying layer, something like that, right? And that gets it to blend in a little bit more than just over the top using the blend if. So blend if, we already used blend if. So go to blend if and try to get it to blend in a little bit more. And what that means is it's gonna have to be a little bit lighter on the outside, all right? And now once you do that, You just have to clean it up for the spaces that are a little bit excess, or if you need to add any spaces. So white's gonna paint on, black's gonna hide. So just go in and just try to clean up as necessary, and then you're chilling. Okay, now I know Lamar Jackson doesn't wear Oakley, so that's not gonna fly. So what we need to do is, let's see, how should we go about this? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of these. So I'm gonna right click and rasterize the layer, and I'm just gonna content aware fill these Oakley things out like this, and then on this side, and content aware fill these. And then if we have just excess, use our stamp tool, shortcut S, and just blend those out carefully, like so. Okay, or you can use your spot heal brush, which is shortcut J, and then make sure it's on content aware fill when you're using it though, like this. All right, and then we're gonna move on to the next step, and this is gonna be getting this part of the visor away, because you see that doesn't look good. Okay, so we're just gonna get rid of that. One thing I want to point out before we get to just this part right here, which we're gonna keep it simple, is this patterns right here. Like you see on the Patriots, like they don't really have like those patterns on the side. They just have like boring little hashes or whatever, but we're not even gonna put those. So what you're gonna have to do, because I don't even think they're on here, right? Yeah, they're just smooth. So what you're gonna have to do for these is just see how like there's so much texture there. We can get rid of this really quick, and I'm just gonna show you guys how. Just make a selection with your lasso tool. Okay, and once you have the selection with your lasso tool, press Shift F5, or not press Shift F5, go to Filter, Blur, and Surface Blur. Okay, and then on Surface Blur, just set it to pretty much whatever you may want to set it to, but make sure it's whatever you set it to, because it's gonna vary for everybody. Just make sure you don't see this detail underneath, so just blur that stuff out, and then press OK, and yeah, you should be good. So now let's just do this part. All right, so for this part, we're just gonna keep it simple. So all I'm gonna do is make two little masks on the inside. So I'm just gonna make two little masks on the inside of here, like this. That's one, and so now at this point, press the layer mask icon, and we're going to use channel mixer again on monochrome, and then for the pants we're going to make a duplicate copy but invert the mask, and now this is going to be this part and this part. So then we're going to add another channel mixer like that. Okay, and then now we're whoa. Oh yeah, we have to delete the upper part, because that would include everything when we invert the mask. Okay, so just delete the upper part. We don't want that. And now we're gonna use reference to look at the pants. All right, so the bag's gonna also be separate. So just use your little brush tool to separate the bag, because that's gonna be a separate thing from the pant stripes. Okay, so just separate that. But for the pants, I'm just looking at what we already have done for gradient maps. So here's the pants right here. Now with the gradient map, I'm just gonna go gradient map on top, clip it, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did. So pick the darkest blue. Well, make sure you're on the icon. Alright, and now on here, so that you guys don't waste the time I just did, I tried using the gradient map, but it didn't work. So what I'm going to have to do is just mask out these parts separately. So I'm going to mask out the middle part, which is the white part. So I'm going to mask this out, and then the outside by themselves. Okay, so just mask out these separate parts here, and then we're going to change their color manually. So I'm just making a separate piece there, and then I'm gonna put a solid color on. So put a solid color on, clip the solid color to here, put it on linear light, and then we're going to get that white tone. Okay, so make sure it's on linear light or I will be very mad. And then we're gonna do the last two, so the outsides of this, as red. So just use your pen tool. You see like what I'm doing here. Go around under there and make a little selection. All right. Now you can use a layer mask or just press Ctrl J. It's up to you. I'm gonna use a layer mask just in case I want to add something on. And then I'm going to do the same thing, add a solid color, clip it, put it on linear light, and make it a red shade. And I'm going to look at the other red shades that I have here, and it's more towards a pink. So I don't know if it's the hue that needs to change, or let's see. All right, let's see. I think right there works about, and then you can even go further and use levels like we were using before, just to change the color a little bit, because that pink or that red is a little bit tricky. Not gonna lie to you guys, that red is kind of tricky to me. It's like right there, but it's not still at the same time. I feel like that's right. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do there, and then the last part is literally the bag. So I get the bag and Fumbly, you get the bag. All right, so let's just mask out the bag real quick, and this is going to be the last thing that we have to do, and then we can throw a party. Not at my house, but we can throw a party. Okay, guys. So just mask out that bag there. And I don't even know if I want to change the color. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I don't know, guys. I don't even know if I want to change the color. How about this? How about we change it to let's change it to like navy blue. So let's just go on our gradient map again, clip it, and we're just gonna use these colors from before. So dark blue, move up, lighter blue, move up, lightest blue.